It's 2025. We have more stuff than ever, more convenience than ever, and more ways to spend than ever before. So why are so many of us still broke? If you're constantly wondering where your money went, you're not alone, and it's not just bad budgeting. There is a deeper force at play, one that's been subtly draining our bank accounts and feeding our insecurities for decades. Consumerism. Let's break down how consumerism is keeping us broke in 2025, why it's worse than ever, and what you can do to escape the trap. Consumerism isn't just about buying things. It's about a culture, a belief system that tells us we are what we own. That success is measured by the brand of your shoes, the model of your car, or the square footage of your apartment. But here's the twist. It's evolved. We used to see consumerism in TV commercials and magazine ads. Now it's embedded in our social media feeds, our influencers, even our personalities. We're marketed to 24/7, often without realizing it. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube aren't just entertainment, they're shopping malls disguised as content. You're not just watching a morning routine, you're being sold a $40 face serum, a $200 coffee machine, and the illusion that buying them will fix your life. The influencer economy is supercharging spending. It used to be that advertisements came during commercial breaks. You could walk away, mute them, skip them. But in 2025, advertising is the content. Welcome to the influencer economy, where people don't just recommend products, they sell entire lifestyles. And it's working. You're not just watching someone clean their house, you're being pitched $600 worth of cleaning gadgets, minimalist furniture, and aesthetic storage containers that somehow feel essential to having your life together. The message is subtle but powerful. If your life doesn't look like this, you're doing it wrong. But here's what's really dangerous. They've made spending more and more money effortless. Consider something like Buy Now, Pay Later. Apps like Klarna, Afterpay, and Affirm have become ubiquitous. Scroll past a skincare routine, you can buy every product in 4 easy payments. See a fitness influencer's morning smoothie lineup? Get that $200 blender now, pay in 4 $50 payments later. BNPL companies advertise themselves as flexible, friendly, and interest-free. But here's the trap. They're not designed for one-off purchases. They're designed for constant consumption. You stack a $30 payment here and a $45 payment there, and suddenly your future paychecks are already spoken for. And let's not forget the other big budget buster, credit cards. Still the OG enabler of lifestyle inflation. Social media normalizes spending as a daily activity. Every scroll is an opportunity to buy, and credit cards make it feel like you're not even spending real money. It's points, it's perks, it's rewards, right? What they don't show you is the $1,300 credit card balance you're rolling over month to month at 22% interest, or the 5-minute impulse purchase that takes 8 months to pay off. The influencer economy, powered by these tools, destroys the friction between want and buy. There's no time to think, no mental pause. You don't need to ask, can I afford this? Because everything feels affordable when you break it into smaller pieces. But what they don't tell you is this. Those smaller payments still equal the full price, and if you miss one, it's often late fees, interest, and a hit to your credit score. In a world where lifestyle envy is monetized and spending is frictionless, the influencer economy doesn't just encourage overspending, it institutionalizes it. It turns financial overextension into a social norm. Debt is the new normal. Let's be real. Life is more expensive in 2025. Groceries, gas, rent, insurance, almost everything costs more than it did just a few years ago. Wages? They haven't kept up. The average American is now spending more on basic needs, but earning just enough to scrape by. This is the first layer of the problem, the rising cost of living. Even people with decent jobs feel like they're treading water. Many households are one emergency away from financial crisis, and sometimes it's not even an emergency. It's just groceries, or a utility bill, or back-to-school clothes for the kids. But here's where it gets worse. This financial pressure doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's happening at the same time we're being constantly bombarded with messages to spend more, live bigger, look successful, whether we can afford it or not. So what fills the gap between what we earn and what we're told we deserve? Debt. Credit cards, buy now, pay later, payday advances, they're all pitched as tools for flexibility, freedom, and choice. But they're not offering freedom. They're offering immediate gratification at long-term costs. Because here's the truth. When money is tight, the temptation to treat yourself becomes even more intense. Why? Because when your life feels limited and restricted, small pleasures feel necessary. That $8 latte, it's not just coffee, it's comfort. It's a moment of control in a world that feels increasingly out of reach. This is the second layer of the problem: psychological debt. It's a place where spending becomes a coping mechanism, and financial systems have figured this out. That's why buy now, pay later services are baked into checkout pages. It's why you get credit card pre-approvals in the mail even when you're already in debt. They know you'll say yes when you're stressed, uncertain, or trying to hold on to some feeling of normalcy. Meanwhile, the average American is now carrying over $6,000 in credit card debt, with interest rates often exceeding 20%. And in 2025, more people are financing everyday purchases, not just big-ticket items, but basic needs like groceries, gas, and utilities, just to stay afloat, leading to the third layer: the illusion of affordability. You can afford everything until the payments start piling up. Suddenly, half your paycheck is going to debt servicing. Minimum payments become your new baseline. You're not buying freedom, you're renting your lifestyle at 22% APR. And all of this is happening against a backdrop of economic uncertainty. With talks of a potential recession, rising interest rates, global trade wars, and housing prices out of reach, people feel like they're stuck in a system where they'll never get ahead. So they think, why wait? Why delay gratification if the future feels unstable anyway? That mindset is understandable, and it's exactly what keeps people in the cycle. It's death by 1,000 payments. In 2025, debt isn't just normalized, it's marketed as empowerment. It's rebranded as flexibility, convenience, even self-care. But behind the sleek branding and easy payments is a financial trap that's getting harder and harder to escape, especially when the cost of simply existing keeps rising. Comparison culture is making us miserable. Most of us aren't spending money because we need something. We're spending money because we feel like we're not enough without it. That's not by accident. It's the entire foundation of consumerism, and it runs on one powerful emotion: insecurity. In 2025, you don't have to leave your house to feel behind. You just have to open up your phone. Scroll through Instagram or TikTok for 5 minutes, and you'll see someone with a better apartment, a better body, a better wardrobe, and on a better vacation. This is comparison culture, and it's not just annoying, it's financially destructive. Because when you constantly feel like you're falling short, the easiest way to fill that gap is to spend. That $80 skincare routine, it promises confidence. Those $200 sneakers, they promise coolness. That $1,000 couch that showed up in your For You page, it promises a life that finally feels put together in the house you can barely afford. You're not just buying things, you're buying validation. You're chasing a feeling of belonging, of worth, of catching up to an invisible standard that keeps moving every time you think you've arrived. The cruel irony? The people you're comparing yourself to, they're often doing the exact same thing. Many of them got those items on credit, or as brand deals, or in a PR box. The luxury life you're trying to mimic is often sponsored. So why does this still work? Because consumerism doesn't appeal to logic. It appeals to identity. It whispers, you're not good enough yet, but you could be. And if you're already feeling stressed, broke, or left behind, that whisper becomes a scream. The more insecure you feel, the more likely you are to spend emotionally. Not intentionally, not mindfully, emotionally. This is emotional consumerism, and it's one of the most profitable patterns in modern capitalism. Here's how the cycle works. You compare yourself to others. You feel like you're lacking. You spend to compensate. The purchase gives a temporary high. That high fades. You start back at step one. Only now you're poorer and still insecure. It's a loop that turns our identity into an expense. And it's especially dangerous in a time where everything we see is curated, edited, and monetized. You're not comparing your real life to someone else's real life. You're comparing your worst day to someone else's highlight reel with filters and sponsorships and carefully timed lighting. So how do you escape the trap? How do you fight back against a system that's designed to keep you broke? How do you protect your wallet and your mindset in a world where spending is always just one click away? Here are 3 powerful steps. 1. Create a financial filter. Most people ask, can I afford this? But that's not the only question to ask yourself. Another question you should ask is, does this improve my life? Will this decision matter to me in a year or even 5 years? Because if the answer is no, then maybe that's not something you need to purchase at all. Make a list of your core values. Things like freedom, security, family, creativity. Before buying anything over a certain amount, ask, does this align with my values? This small mindset shift can save you thousands of dollars a year and help you spend with intention, not insecurity. Lastly, Start tracking your spending. You can't change what you don't measure. And even a simple spreadsheet can open your eyes to where your money is leaking. 2. Unfollow temptation. Your environment shapes your behavior. If you want to lose weight and become healthier, you need to stock your fridge with healthy foods like fruits and veggies, and you want to remove candy and processed foods from your cupboards. The same is true in your digital environment. Every time you scroll past a shopping haul, luxury unboxing, or a day-in-the-life aesthetic video, you're exposed to triggers that make you spend. So audit your social media feed. If a creator constantly makes you feel like you need to buy something to be better, mute or unfollow. Follow accounts that promote financial literacy, minimalism, or mental wellness instead. Curate your content like it's your financial future, because it is. Consider removing your remembered cards from your browsers. That way, when you're buying online, you physically have to go and get your card. Just that extra 30 seconds could be enough to halt your impulse shopping. Less exposure equals less temptation equals more control. 3. Track your spending. You cannot fix what you're not measuring. Most people underestimate how much they spend, and that gap between reality and perception is where consumerism thrives. Download a budgeting app like YNAB, Empower, or Every Dollar. Link your accounts and set clear categories, especially for impulse spending. Once you're tracking, do a weekly check-in and look at what you spent that week. Ask yourself, was this worth it? Oftentimes, you'll know nearly immediately if a purchase was worth the dollar spent or not. Give yourself room to reflect on that. Your best life won't come from what you buy. It'll come from what you build, your habits, your mindset, and your goals. It starts with stepping off the hamster wheel of consumerism and reclaiming your money, your time, and your peace. Thanks so much for watching. If this video helped you rethink your spending habits, consider giving it a like and sharing it with someone else who needs to hear it. Remember, spend wisely, live freely, and we'll see you in the next one.